It is eternally manifest through a portion of the infinite, Ananta. This abode takes the shape of a unique divine lotus flower possessing thousands of petals, the core of which is Krishna's own home. So this, what is being mentioned here, just to expand on it a little further, Krishna's abode is manifest through a portion of the infinite, Ananta. In other words, this is Baladev, right? Baladev, Balaram, Ananta Shesh, right? He is the support. Baladev, he represents the willing potency, the existing potency, Sat, right? We hear there are these three main principles within divinity, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, right? Jnana, Bal, Kriya. This sequence is mentioned in slightly different ways, in different places. Sat, Chit, Ananda, eternity, consciousness, and bliss. Jnana, Bala, Kriya, in another place. Strength. This is also Baladev, Balaram, Nityananda, Ananta, the strength, the willing potency, eternity, existence. Then Gyan, knowledge or consciousness, and Kriya, play. Play. Sundaram also, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Beauty, right? Beauty, Ananda, joy. Play, Kriya, play. Right? That is represented by Radharani. So Baladev is representing the eternity, the willing potency, the existence potency. And Krishna, consciousness, knowledge. And then Radha is beauty, play, feeling, willing, feeling, thinking. The sequence is also mentioned like that. Willing, the willing potency, the thinking potency, and the feeling potency. So these really, these three represent, and then you could say also Baladev is an extension of Krishna. So you can say these two, Radha, Krishna, represent the absolute truth, but a little more developed ideas, these three potencies, right? And so this is why we're told, right, Krishna without his potency is not beautiful. Without his divine feminine potency of Srimati Radharani, he is not beautiful. She represents Sundaram, beauty, joy, play. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj has said, Krishna without his divine potency is almost Brahman conception, the plane of impersonal light, right? That expression of the divinity, and she is who gives him beauty, charm, personality, all these things. So Baladev, he is the support of all of everything in existence, actually, both mundane and spiritual and divine. He is also, we're told, the maintainer of the ego, Baladev. He is the maintainer of one's ego, one's very sense of existence. This is Baladev. Okay, so, going back to what's here, we're hearing a description of this, overall nature of Krishna's divine abode, that it takes a form of a lotus flower, thousands of petals. Does someone want to read? Giridhari Prabhu, do you want to read the purport? And it is, I think it might be kind of long. You can pause wherever you like.
Okay, it is long. Yeah, sure, I'll read. Purport to verse 2. Gokula, which is identical with Goloka, is not created or mundane. Krishna's infinite potency is ever expanding, and Krishna's divine alter ego, Baladev, is the reservoir of that potency. The infinite aspect of the transcendental entity of Baladev is twofold. encompassing both transcendence and mundanity. One quadrant of the Lord's majesty is mundane infinity, ekapada vibhuti, and that will be discussed in an appropriate place. The transcendent infinity is the Lord's triquadrantal majesty, tripada vibhuti, or the place of no lamentation, death, or apprehension. And that domain is by nature effulgent in the sense that it is the transcendental kingdom. That kingdom is the manifest majesty of the Almighty, the great Vaikuntha, or the unlimited transcendental spiritual world, Paravyoma. Beyond the purview of material nature, on the far shore of the river of passivity, Viraja, that domain presides in all its glory, eternally surrounded by the spiritual effulgence of Brahman. The upper region of that infinite divine majesty is the abode of absolute sweetness and charm, Gokula or Goloka, which is the ultimate portion of the splendor of the spiritual world, eternally manifest in its beauty to the extreme. This is referred to by some authorities as the abode of Mahanarayan, the great Narayan, or Mula Narayan, the original Narayan. Thus, Gokula, identical with Goloka, is the super excellent abode. That one holy abode is resplendent as Goloka and Gokula, according to their different locations, upper and lower, respectively. Srimat Sanatan Goswami has stated in his Sri Brihad Bhagavatamritam, which embodies the essence of all holy scriptures. Yatha kridati tam bhaumau goloke pi tatai vasara urdavataya pedo nyo kalpate kevala. The meaning is that in Gokula, which is manifest in this material world, Krishna sports in his divine pastimes in exactly the same way as he does in Goloka. There is no difference between Goloka and Gokula, except that Goloka is situated at the topmost region of the spiritual plane, and that self-same place is Krishna's pastime, is manifest as Gokula in this world. Sri Jiva Goswami has also elucidated in his Satsandarbha, Goloka Nirupanam Vrindanandinam Nitya Krishna Dharmatvam Goloka Vrindavanayor Ekatvan Cha. Although Goloka and Gokula are identical, by dint of Krishna's inconceivable potency, Goloka is the topmost plane of the transcendental world, while Gokula, situated in the Mathura Mandala or Mathura province, is revealed within the insignificant quadrant of the Lord's majesty that issues forth from his deluding Maya potency as the mundane world. It lies beyond the faculty of the jiva's puny intellect to conceive how the divine abode, despite being the vast quadrantal majesty of God, comes to be accommodated in the nether regions of the quadrant of the mundane majesty. And it is demonstrative of the greatness of Krishna's inconceivable potency. The entity of Gokula is the divine abode, immeasurable and unlimited in any way by material time, space, or circumstances, despite being manifest in the material world. Gokula remains self-effulgent, ever unrestricted as supreme, unlimited reality, Parama Vaikuntha Tattva. Yet, the conditioned souls, due to their absorption in materialism, cannot resist dragging even Gokula to the level of their mundane senses and intellect. Through their individual defective senses and intelligence, they see the divine abode of Gokula in a mundane way, just as the short-sighted observer considers that the sun is covered by a cloud, but in fact, it is only his eyes that are covered. Only one who, by great fortune, has had his relationship with mundanity completely dissipated can see that Goloka in Gokula and Gokula in Goloka. The enlightenment, Gyan, attained from the bliss consciousness of the soul through its own assiduous discernment of non-reality from reality, has never been known to catch a glimpse of the area of Vaikuntha. That realm is situated above the unconcentrated truth, consciousness and bliss of the elementary Brahman or non-differentiated absolute. Thus, there is no chance of having a divine vision of Goloka or Gokula in such gyan or self-exertive attempts at enlightenment. This is so because the cultivators of gyan, the liberationists, search for the reality while wholly depending upon their own finer perceptions, but they ignore the quest for the grace of Krishna, who is full of inconceivable potencies. Hence, the liberationist's attempt for monistic self-realization is futile in the matter of reaching Goloka Vrindavan. As a limb of the exploitational or karma attempt, the meditational or yoga attempt is similarly impotent in drawing the Lord's grace. Therefore, it cannot have any success in the quest for the plane of transcendental dynamism beyond the oneness of Brahman. Only those who adopt pure devotion or Shuddha Bhakti can attain the grace of Krishna, the Lord of inconceivable potencies. And only by Krishna's grace is one's relativity with the mundane, illusory nature dispelled, and the fortune of seeking Gokula is born.
Seeing Gokula. Well,
See.
both, you could say it both ways.
It's seeing, you said.
Yeah, actually, that was a cool slip of the tongue.
What did I say? I didn't.
You said seeking.
Ah.
Or that's what I heard.
Okay, we're almost there. In this regard, there are two basic types of perfection in devotion, or bhakti siddhis, namely, perfection of one's intrinsic divine self during his sojourn in this world, or svarup siddhi, and the perfection upon departure from the mortal world, or vastu siddhi. In svarup siddhi, Goloka is seen in Gokula, and in vastu siddhi, Gokula is seen in Goloka. This is a profound mystery. With the attainment of prema, or divine love, Svarup siddhi is attained. After that, Vastu siddhi occurs when both the gross and subtle illusory coverings of the conditioned soul are removed by Krishna's sweet will. In any case, until one attains perfection in devotion, or bhakti siddhi, he will see Gokula as separate from his conception of Goloka. With myriads of petals, the unique transcendental seat of unending marvels is Gokula, the eternal divine abode of Krishna.
Jai. Thank you, Giridhar. Wow, I feel like everything is in that. I mean, that's just incredible. And there is a lot to break down. There's a lot to go through here. But before I go into it, does anyone want to bring up anything in particular? And welcome to our dear brother Ananga Krishna Prabhu, tuning in from Tijuana, Mexico. Super happy to have you with us. Okay. Okay, well, so there's a lot going on here. All kinds of stuff, including a geography lesson. I've actually, Suvasini Didi, can you make me a co-host? I'd like to screen share a map.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have time to get through this one today. There's so many important points here. Okay, let's start from the beginning here. So this point about the position of Baladev, we mentioned that. I'm happy to see that here. And so this is mentioned sometimes, this Ekapada Vibhuti and Tripada Vibhuti. This is mentioned sometimes in the scriptures. I don't know how literally we're supposed to take it, or if it's just to give us some idea, right? So Ekapada means one part, right? And Tripada, 3 parts. So and they use this nice expression, the mundane infinity and the mundane majesty. It's very nice actually, because it's still part of the Lord's creation, just because it is a plane of death and degradation and exploitation, doesn't mean that it's to be completely dismissed. It is a plane of beauty, and it is a part of the Lord's infinity, right? A part of his greatness too. So Ekapada Vibhuti, this whole mundane creation represents 1/4 of the total existence. Vibhuti. Suvasini Didi, how do you translate Vibhuti?
And say Vibhuti is glories.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a Vibhuti yoga, like in the Bhagavad Gita, right? It is.
There's another word I think is used sometimes. I'm trying to think of glories or glories. And then then that transcendental plane represents three quarters of the whole. And again, I don't know how literally we're meant to take that, but it's giving us some idea that this mundane creation represents a small portion of within the greater whole. Right. And then so I'm a co-host now, then I can screen share. Okay, I'm gonna screen share. Here we are, so you can see this. Can we have muted? I'm getting some funny sounds.
Oh, sorry, that's my husband blowing his nose.
Okay. I thought
it was cows in Vrindavan.
Yeah, I thought it sounded like a cow as well. It did sound like that. It wasn't a bad sound, it was just a little distracting, that's all. Okay. Chintamani with her transcendental vision, cows in Vrindavan. It really did sound like a cow though. So you can all see, isn't this a cool map? Ananda, you can see this? Is he still there? Yeah, you can see it. And Dulal, we were having a whiteboard session in SoCal. So I thought you would appreciate it. And I was trying to find this for Ananda a few days ago, and I couldn't find a good quality. And just now when I looked, it just came up. This is a nice quality map.
Can you put the link in the chat so we can share it with our friends?
Yes, absolutely. Good idea. Multi-dimensional map of the Vedic multiverse. Wow. How's that for a title, huh? Where's our chat? Okay, I'm a bit lost in. Okay, well, I'll make sure I share it. Oh, here it is. The chat's right here. Oh, Dana loves the map. Okay, the link is in our chat. So here's also, you see Ananta Shesh. This is Baladev in this form as a serpent. He's supporting the whole of the mundane existence. So I liked the way that was phrased here. How the infinite aspect of the transcendental entity of Baladev is twofold, encompassing both transcendence and mundanity. So within the mundane plane, he's existing like this in the form of this giant serpent, supporting each individual multiverse. Brahmanda is the Sanskrit word. So there's an annunciation. So this map is showing just one. Within the material plane, there are trillions and trillions. There's one analogy given, like one mustard seed and a bag of mustard seeds. One tiny mustard seed represents one Brahmanda. So there are unlimited numbers of them. And these are all coming from Mahavishnu here, who's floating in this divine sleep. Actually, someone was asking yesterday, Zia, I think Zia was asking if we practice yoga nidra. We don't, but Vishnu does. Yeah, we don't really do that. But Vishnu does. He's in this divine trance, divine sleep. Although actually we don't usually like to use the word sleep for, saintly persons. But he's resting, his divine rest. So he's known as Mahavishnu, Karanadakashayi Vishnu, or either or both is fine. And we're told with every exhalation, every breath exhalation, all of these Brahmandas are coming out of his pores. And then with every inhalation, they're all being reabsorbed within him. And then the whole cycle starts again. Unlimited universes emanate from the pores of his skin. And then each of these Brahmandas here, then we have a close-up here, then there are these 14 different planes, planetary system, 7 upper and 7 lower. I'm sorry, let me just check this. And we are, who can say where we are? Oh, well, it does say there actually. Yeah, it does say Goloka, Earth. It says Earth. It kind of spoils it. Yes, Goloka.
You are here.
Oh yeah, there we go. It's a bit of a giveaway. You are here. This would be so cool, like in like a form of like a museum, or there's a name for it, right? Like a 3D type, like immersive, kind of like the dome things that our Avadut Maharaj is doing, like some type of immersive experience. Yeah, and so as you go lower, you find denser, grosser, darker planes of existence. And as you go higher, then lighter, more heavenly, more subtle planes of existence. And welcome to Sue Devi, who's been popping in and out. Dandavad. And then you have here Lord Brahma, you see, in his, oh, this is such a wonderful map. It's like, it's high resolution. Never come across one so good. It just popped up this time. So, and actually we don't have it here, but in the ISKCON edition on the cover, there's a really beautiful painting showing. So this is Lord Brahma. This is his meditation, and these are his prayers, this book that we're studying now. And so this is like super relevant actually to this, like the background of this book, because not just the background, because it's also described in the book, but Lord Brahma, right? He's the first created being, and he awakes in this darkness, and then he makes this connection with the Lord through the agency of Divya Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. And she gives him like a type of initiation, and then meditating on the Gayatri mantra, then the whole ocean of truth is revealed before him. And then he's describing the nature of the both mundane and spiritual planes of existence. Okay, and then we can go up. So then there's this Karana the ocean. Everything in the material existence is floating within this ocean. Then beyond that, and of course, we do want to get away from a linear, one-dimensional way of understanding this. This is just really, these are existing like as different dimensions, right? But this is giving us some idea. Then there's the Brahma Jyoti, this great divine light within which everything is encompassed. And this is, in many schools of thought, many spiritual schools, they consider this to be the end. That's their goal, right? Moksha, mukti, right, generally refers, the attainment of moksha or mukti generally refers to this, right? In scriptural discourse and religious discourse. They want to merge into this plane, and I think that's it. It all ends in this white light, this divine plane of pure consciousness. And so Brahman, right? And this is also the Vedas. They are largely pointing to this as the end, the goal. And there's this uncertainty over what or if anything is beyond that, right? But those of the Vaishnava school, they understand that there is also a dynamic. What was that phrase? Transcendental dynamism. It was in the purport. You gotta love some of these phrases. So then with the Vaishnavas who recognizes that there is a plane of divine form, divine variety, movement, and so on. So then beyond that, and furthermore, that white light that you're all so excited about, that's just Krishna's halo. That's his effulgence. So then entering into the plane of Vaikuntha, the spiritual sky, first you hit the plane of Sadashiva. Sadashiva means the eternal form of Shiva, not just his form as a destroyer in connection with the material energy, or the master of Maya, master of illusion, but he has an eternal form as a devotee also. And so he has his own zone within Vaikuntha, the spiritual sky. And then we have Vaikuntha. Now the Vaikuntha, I was explaining this to Ananda the other day, it's kind of like New York, there's the state and there's the city. And so Vaikuntha is sometimes used to refer to the spiritual sky as a whole. And then it's also probably more often used to refer specifically to the plane of Narayan or Vishnu. And so this Vaikuntha Loka. Lok means plane, planet. And so we're told that all of the avatars, they all have their own zone within Vaikuntha. So, you can see Nrsingadev here. He's here. Buddha, even Buddha, wow. Okay. Wow. I never thought about that. Like Buddha's in Vaikuntha. Yeah, it must be. Buddha's got his spot here. He's an avatar. Wow, that's a head tripper. Kalki too. Wow. Varahadev is here. All of the Vishnu avatars, Matsya, Kurma, right? They all Parashuram, they all have their own zone and their own eternal, Leela and Parshads, associates. So here, depicted here is Lakshmi Narayan. And then we can also add here, there are those who consider this to be the zenith point, that Vishnu is the highest, Vishnu is the source. And perhaps sometimes he appears as Krishna, as one of his plays. Okay, then going up, now here's this lotus flower, which has been described in this verse that we've just read. Is that, yeah, that says, the verse a bit cut off here. So then but there is also, before you hit Krishna's abode, there is Ayodhya, Ramachandra's abode. And all of these things, they can also be understood in terms of rasa, degrees of rasa. It's all about the science of rasa, by which we mean, right, divine sentiment, divine relationship, how much, how much variety and to what degree of intensity is rasa available, right? So in Vaikuntha is sometimes referred to, Narayan's abode, Vishnu's abode is sometimes referred to as the plane of 2.5 rasas, because the spectrum of relationships is quite limited. They're generally, everyone's in dasya ras, the mood of servitorship. So there's shanta, the passive relationship, dasya, the servitorship relationship, and not much else. And why half, 2.5? Because some of the servitors, they're kind of like an old family butler, right? Who's been with the family for years, and they have a little more leeway to suggest things to their master, right? It's not so much, but something. So a little bit of sakya, friendship. And there's Madhura rasa, the conjugal relationship, but only Lakshmi has access to that, nobody else. So 2.5. Then Narayan doesn't have parents and so on. So the full package is not available there. Then in Ayodhya, Ramachandra's abode, then all the rasas are available. All the relationships are available with the Lord, but suppressed. And mostly tending towards the mood of dasya, servitorship. Then now we hit Vrindavan, Goloka, the planet of Goloka. And then there are also 3 main sections there. There is Dwarka, you can see here Dwarka, where Krishna lives as a royal figure. He lives in opulence, and he's involved in affairs of politics and royalty and all these things. And then we have Mathura, the place of Krishna's birth. And then we have at the very center, Goloka Vrindavan. And this is the original. This is, Vrindavan Krishna, the original, the supreme, the source, and the plane of full rasa. Every relationship is available there with the Lord. Every type of feeling, sentiment is all available there. All types of ecstasy, and love rules over everything else there. That is their love is the only law over everything else. And then going back to our purport, right, this point is made about Goloka and Gokula, or Goloka and Gokul, right? And so Gokul is the name for Goloka when it appears in the mundane plane, right? So now this is where we go, what? We were just given a geography lesson, and now it's all going out the window. Now you're saying that Goloka is actually down here in this little place here. You are here. So this is what is inconceivable, that divine Goloka appears within, there was a very nice way it was expressed here in the purport. Let's see if we can find it. It lies beyond the faculty of the jiva's puny intellect to conceive how the divine abode, despite being the vast tri-quadrantal majesty of God, comes to be accommodated in the nether regions of the quadrant of the mundane majesty. And it is demonstrative of the greatness of Krishna's inconceivable potency. My goodness, what level of articulation. It's just wonderful, isn't it? Just wonderful. And our Irish friends have just arrived here. So this is an extraordinary thing and a very, very wonderful thing. And another very interesting thing, which is mentioned sometimes by our gurus, that some say that the original is actually here. I've heard our Gurudev and Srila Maharaj both mention it. I mean, I believe Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions it somewhere. That it's actually can be considered more original or superior in some way. And I heard Srila Maharaj explain this in one place. He said, he gave this idea that because what is the nature of this particular Leela, right? It is a prakrita. A prakrita means that it is human-like, right? That it appears to be mundane. So therefore, if it's actually appearing in the mundane plane, it's got some more flavor, right? It has some more authenticity. You know, like that play of the Lord's, which appears to be mundane, is manifesting in the plane, which is actually mundane. You know, then it's got a little more flavor, right? So that's a very interesting point. And then this other point is mentioned here that, you know, when one's spiritual vision is awakened and they can see Goloka within Gokul and Gokul within Goloka. Because ultimately these are planes of consciousness, right? And actually anywhere, if one has that spiritual vision, they can perceive that. You know, this has been mentioned by our gurus many times, right? Vrindavan ultimately is a plane of consciousness. And we can connect with that plane through having the appropriate consciousness. And that ultimately is based upon the most intense spirit of dedication, sacrifice. You know, to approach Vrindavan means to approach the sphere of the acme of sacrifice and dedication. That is really, like, ontologically speaking, that is what Vrindavan is. That is what Vrindavan is. The more that we can embrace that, the closer we will come to that plane. Let's see, we can, oh, and so here you can see, this is what I was discussing earlier, these three potencies, right, of within divinity. Krishna represents Sambit. This is another way in which it is rendered. Sandini, Sambit, Hladini, Sat, Chit, Ananda. So Krishna representing the thinking, consciousness, knowledge. Radharani, joy, beauty, play. Baldev, you know, Sat, you know, eternity, existence, willing, strength, power, these things. And many other things. Yeah, it gets very complicated. I don't understand all of these things. These, the Chaturvyuha, these things are discussed further in Chaitanya Charitamrita and so on. But it gets very technical. Okay, well, let's see anything else. Does anyone want to make any comment or question or anything? Suvasini, Didi, anything you want to bring up or add to?
No, Didi, this is wonderful. This map you are showing. It's yeah, but it's mind-boggling. It's, you know, it's like, as it said, it's like the puny intellect, you know.
Right,
right. It's very hard to conceive of all this.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to ask, this is one phrase I don't understand. What is this alter ego? What does that mean? Krishna's divine alter ego, Baladev.
Alter ego. Marie, you can probably explain better than me. Will you explain what alter ego means?
Well, I mean, literally, it's other self. I could go kind of into my speculations on that, but that would be just speculation. But there, I think in order to play the game, there has to be a fit opponent or foil. So I think God becomes his own playmate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. That's a nice way of putting it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because Baldev, remember, he's Krishna's first expansion, right?
Yeah.
And as he said so nicely, you know, he does so to have a playmate primarily.
I mean, and also so that he doesn't have to be the serious one ever.
Sorry, what did you say?
Also, then he doesn't ever have to be the serious one if he doesn't want to. Baldev gets to do that part too.
He has to be the responsible one.
Yeah.
Okay, I did want to also another point I wanted to highlight here was and clarify perhaps if it wasn't clear for anyone on page 9 for those who are following our book. And yeah, for those of you following the ISKCON link, the purport is a little different, but it's more or less the same. This is following Bhaktivinoda Thakur's purports, and the ISKCON edition has Saraswati Thakur's, which are based on Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, and they're very close. It's a little different. And we can next time share a PDF to ours. So this line here, the enlightenment attained from the bliss consciousness of the soul through its own assiduous discernment of non-reality from reality has never been known to catch a glimpse of the area of Vaikuntha. So this is referring to Jnana Marga, or the Aroha Panta, the path of self-ascension, right? Where through our own practices, right? Study, penances, austerities, etc., yoga practices, all these things, through our own and mental and physical endeavor, we are gaining this clarity on the distinction, as it says here, between non-reality and reality. So we come to the point of being able to distinguish matter from spirit, right? And we realize this bliss consciousness of the soul within our own self. But this is equal to getting a passport, right? And that can get you, go back to our map, that can get you here, this Brahma Jyoti. You can realize, like, through these types of self endeavors, one can get a passport in the sense that they realize their nature as soul, as spirit. But that is not enough. That is not equal getting a visa, right? To go, but up to this point, the Brahma Jyoti equals a passport. To go further, you need a visa. And to get a visa, you need to be in the mode of contribution, dedication. I'm coming to give something. I don't have just a right to enter, but I'm going on grace because I'm in a spirit of service and love and sacrifice. So just coming to that realization of soul on your own strength, that's not enough to enter the higher Vaikuntha plane. So there's no chance of having divine vision of Goloka or Gokul by such gyan or self-exertive attempts at enlightenment. And this, I love this line. This is so because the cultivators of gyan, the liberationists, search for the reality while wholly depending upon their own finer perceptions, but they ignore the quest for the grace of Krishna. I love that line. They ignore the quest for the grace of Krishna. This is the real quest. the mercy of the Lord and the Vaishnavas. This is everything. This is everything. And this line is also nice. The meditation or yoga attempt is similarly impotent in drawing the Lord's grace. Therefore, it cannot have any success in the quest for the plane of transcendental dynamism. Does anyone have any comments, questions, points?
It's similar to the.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Didi, I muted you by accident. Suvasini, can you unmute yourself? Okay.
Yeah.
You're back.
Yeah. No, this description is also, in the sloka, like Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo Namedaya na Bahuna Shrutena. Like Yam E Vaisha Vrinate Tena Labhya. So it's only by the grace, right?
Right.
Not by, or various practices and by vast knowledge or anything, by intelligence, and you cannot have that. It's only by, yeah.
Yes, very nice connection. This is also an interesting point here, how, because normally there's this division made, right? Karma, Gyan, and Bhakti. But here, yoga, and normally yoga would be included in the liberation, Gyan attempt. But here, meditation, yoga is being included with karma, because actually it is ultimately it is a more subtle type of exploitation, right? Because it is still self-centered. So it is interesting, those two are being categorized together. We don't normally see that. And then lastly, coming to the end of the purport here, the word, it's interesting because normally we hear siddhis used in connection with yoga practices, right? And they normally refer to types of, literally it means a perfection, right? So normally it refers to different perfections, like spiritual, subtle, perhaps spiritual is not the word that I want to use here, but subtle powers, mystical powers that one can achieve, becoming invisible, becoming lighter than air, being able to walk on water and all these things, right? So normally this is how we use the word siddhi, right? But there's also bhakti siddhi, right? Perfection within bhakti, perfections within bhakti. And there are two stages which are mentioned here. Sarup siddhi, when one, Srila Sridhar Maharaj also elaborates on this a little more in another place, explaining that there's there's the first stage of realizing within ourselves our relationship with the Lord, and becoming perfected intrinsically within ourselves, within our higher connection, higher relationship. And then Vastu siddhi, when one is actually placed within a service environment, and where that's being realized like in a manifest way, their relationship with the Lord. Of course, both of these things are very far away from us at present, and not so relevant. But all these things are waiting for us by the grace of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Okay, maybe I'll close our little map here. And stop share. Okay, well, we've just about come to the end of our meeting. Anyone have any final comments or questions? Oh, I see Scarlett had to go, and she's left a nice Holland, Dandavat to everyone. Okay, any last words, or should we end there? Do Lal Prabhu, anything you want to share? And listening very attentively and quietly.
Yes, actually a lot of what's being shared in this, I'm recalling from my experience with the Shankarya lineage and experience there, very much so. So it's really cool to hear where it continues beyond the effulgence of Krishna's halo. Through, we learned a lot of Purushartha and self-assertion and these kinds of things. But it's so sweet to hear about what was the consideration of, the grace, the search for Krishna, Jai, just Jai Guru Dev. Thank you.
What happens beyond? Now we're getting to hear about that. And I think I was sharing with our Dulal. The Dulal, he lived for 3 years in the Shivananda Yoga Ashram. So, which I think gives actually a wonderful foundation, for coming to Krishna consciousness. And there was one line which I was sharing with him, I believe I did, which he appreciated very much, as I recall. How does it go again? Jyotir Abhyantare Rupam Natulam Shama Sundaram. Or Gurudev would quote this, which means beyond that light, right? Beyond that white light, there's that beautiful dark Lord. Shama Sundar, this is a name for Krishna, right? Shama's black is a name for Krishna. Sundar, Shama Sundar, beautiful dark Lord. So if you go beyond that light, you will find that beautiful dark Lord. So just keep going. Don't get stalled along the way. There's more. There are better things to come. So do love Krishna Prabhu. He's being introduced. What's beyond that white light? Giridhar Prabhu is saying me too. Oh, Sue Devi also. Okay.
Shivananda Yoga.
I see. It's interesting because from what I've gathered, it seems like the Shivananda school is kind of gearing people up for bhakti. That's the impression that I see you all nodding your heads.
They have bhakti in there, and the other yogas don't have any bhakti. Shivananda says, "Oh, there's bhakti in here." That's why I went.
Wait, say that again, Giridhar Prabhu.
With Shivananda, you look at the principles of what they offer as a yoga school if you want to go there, and they offer bhakti yoga. And other schools don't usually list bhakti in there.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Z is also again. Sudev, you want to say something?
Yeah, I would like to just say Swami Naranjang, he's a beautiful Swami from that line, and he speaks a lot about bhakti, and I read his writings, and it's not necessarily about Krishna, but it's his expressing their devotion, and there's so much in alignment with the teachings that I see in our mission, and I'm like, oh, Swami Naranjang, yeah, because I really appreciate him. He's an amazing Swami with a very beautiful heart. Yeah, there's a lot of alignment there. I believe that it's preparation as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Devi. And I love that quote, Marie. What is that? Dark am I and beautiful.
It's out of Song of Songs. Depending on who translates it, sometimes attributed to the maiden and sometimes to the prince.
Is Solomon's song, or this is what did you say?
Yes. Well, I said Song of Songs because we're pretty sure now that it wasn't written by Solomon. That was just a tradition that existed.
This Solomon song, I mean, our Gurudev talked about it. It's very profound.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know at least 4 different ways to read it. The one that I read the most is the one where where you put yourself in the position of the maiden. And if you read it from that perspective, then it tells the story of the soul seeking God. But there are other ways, you know, higher and lower ways, both. But yeah, that's at the beginning, dark am I and beautiful, and then compares themselves to a tree and of some sort, and then something about I've taken care of all my brother's vineyards, but my own vineyard I've neglected. Like, yeah, it's like right at the beginning of it, and I can't even find it now.
Wow, amazing. Dark am I. That's a translation of Shama Sundar, the name for Krishna.
That's why I put it there, because I'm like, oh, hey, I know that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Zia, did you want to share something?
Not especially. I'm just sitting here being naughty, eating cream eggs, so I would share them with you if I could. Because I'm sure you're all eating cream eggs. No, I found this super interesting. That thanks for sharing what you did, and also that image, that map, like, is beautiful. I want it on my wall.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling that right now. Cool. Well, great to hear your reflections, Zia, and we're really happy to have you in the group. All right. Well, should we close there for today? Any final words from anyone? This is so much fun. All right. Well, it's been a privilege as always to discuss these higher topics with such fine souls, and wishing you all a beautiful and nourishing, spiritually nourishing, uplifting week ahead. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Sri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees, seekers Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Jai Gaur Prema Viva
Vishaka Devi ki jai.
Jai. Jai.
Um,